they call you a contestant, a finalist. Then they call you a troll. But that's just their way of calling you a liability. Let's see why. You told me that Alex Jones basically backstabbed the Bohemian Grove Action Network. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, I don't think I used the term backstab. I think that he certainly undermined our message. I unfortunately did not know. You know, every time we get around July, I get a lot of calls. And he was one of them, and this was 10 years ago. And I helped him get in. He was with a man named John Ronson, who wrote a book. He's from England. He was with some other people. And I, unfortunately, helped them get in.
I even heard Alex say on one of his documentaries with a Russian film crew that I think their alibi was that they were male prostitutes.
I just, from the beginning, when Alex started ranting with some of his craziness, like, who the people in Monte Rio were, they were like class fodder for these guys. I mean, he's just kind of an idiot. And so I never said he backstabbed this because I never took him that seriously. I just thought he undermined the message for, I had to kind of follow him around with, a lot of media started calling, and then little by little I got to know who he is, and he's kind of considered a right-wing nut by most people that I respect.
We're up against some heavy duty stuff. We're coming in end time prophecies.
Our faith will lead us through it. Now, Stu, I wanted to ask you about Alex Jones. I was a contestant in this year's InfoWars reporter contest. Now, straight up, can you let our listening audience know about this man's relationship with the FBI?
He's an FBI stooge. He was put there to put out disinformation and put out mainstream stuff and spin anything and to try to keep everything at bay. Just like Glenn Beck's a stooge, just like, what's the ones on the TV programs? You got Bill O'Reilly. He's been a CIA stooge for years. Matter of fact, he's a child molester. Friends of mine in U.S. intelligence and French intelligence both have identified him being in children whorehouses in Panama and other Central America locations in there, and they had to drag him out of the whorehouses having sex with 12 and 15-year-old kids, Bill O'Reilly back in the 80s and 90s. So these are the kind of people that we're dealing against. Alex Jones is a stooge. Alex Jones used to answer to a guy named Norvell, Norvell of the CIA. He was his handler. I actually had Alex Jones on the phone with me one time with John Statmiller, and Statmiller had him call me, and I asked him right up. I said, "Well, is it true, Alex?" I said that your handler's Norvell. He turned white as a ghost on the other end of the line. According to Statmiller, he got up and left the conversation, wouldn't say no more. So, and I've got friends inside various agencies that have said, "Stu, he's on FBI payroll," and I've got the proof and evidence, and I'm not going to say any more about that. Okay?
Okay, I wanted to...
We got all these stooges out here in the alternative media.
Hey,
Why is it that they bought up the media?
Glenn.
Why is it that they bought up the radio shows? It's all purpose. It's
Exactly.
to give the stooge game. If you don't watch mainstream media, you go to the internet, you listen to alternative radio, alternative programs, they got to have the stooges out there. Ask yourself a question. Who owns Alex Jones's network? Go back to Viacom in Denver, Colorado, and do the trace on it, and his 300 radio show network. All the radio, TV, and print media. I used to get on radio shows, mainstream media, back in the early 90s. I could get things done in Time Magazine. I could get congressional hearings and things like that. You can't get that done anymore. Everything changed since 1992. There is no longer free press in America. Free press comes from you, Bruce, from Glenn, from me, and from others out here on the internet. And we are not on huge radio networks. Nobody. Everybody that is on any kind of huge networks at all are all controlled stooges.
Compromised. Now, this question's for Glenn. Glenn, can you let our listening audience know about Jones and his censoring of Dr. Coldwell, a man who claims that any cancer can be cured in weeks?
Right. Yeah, that's when I really see. I like everybody else, you know, you go through stages in your awakening process, and when you find Jones, you want to believe, you know, here's a guy that's talking the talk, you know, he's telling you more truth than Glenn Beck. But when I met Dr. Colwell, I said, because I got to meet him personally in South Carolina, and I said, Dr. Colwell, how come you haven't been on Alex Jones? Because at the time I thought Alex was still legit. And he goes, I've had 5 different doctors who've been on Jones's program tell him to get me on the program. I've had callers call into the program again and again, but he refuses because he's basically got an agenda, and it's not solutions. It's fear, fear, fear. And you know what? As soon as I found that out, I said, wait a second. I'm just a normal guy that had a radio show that I kind of got forced into. I never even wanted to be a person that even ran a network, but it's something that I had to do. But here I've brought Dr. Colwell on the program many times, and in fact his information has cured people through the program. So people have cured themselves of skin cancer and so forth. So I'm very happy about that. But when you find out that somebody like Alex Jones, who claims to be a patriot, has intentionally censored the doctor that has the best cancer cure rate in the world, and let's not forget this, Bruce, because I don't know if you're aware, but Stu Webb, you know, 10 years ago when he first met Jones, for $25,000 he could have probably recovered $30 trillion minimum to the American people. And Jones not only wouldn't support him, which he should have if he was real, but he also fired 2 people over it. So what does that tell you?
Wow.
It tells you he has an agenda. I believe 100% in Stu Webb's sources that he's FBI, because what reason, why would you censor a 28-year Marine whistleblower that's done so much for this country? Absolutely. Unless you've got an agenda? And so anybody, this is what I say, if you give money to Jones, you might as well send it to the FBI, because this man has done nothing of substance for 17 years except stab patriots like Stu Webb in the back.